I don't think we've really begun to even explore what is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that when you give people access and you let them be creative and you let them be involved with the process and value them, a lot of good things can happen.
What was your background before you even got into, we'll say Zabuni? We'll just say, let's start, 2012, and then prior.
so so I came here, and when I moved to Nebraska, like, heck, what am I gonna do out here?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I'm in rural Nebraska. I'm not even in one of the cities or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's side of the family, they're in farming,
Mm-hmm.
and ever since I was a kid, I loved driving. I loved being behind a steering wheel. Um, so I came here. I'm watching. I'm seeing, and I'm like, yeah, it would be fun to learn how to drive trucks like semis.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother-in-law, he's a farmer as well.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's side of the family, my father-in-law, brother-in-law, two
Mm-hmm.
brother-in-law farmers.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother-in-law, we're just talking. I'm like, I don't think I'd mind driving a truck. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. So he bought a semi,
Okay.
right? So I
Mm-hmm.
started driving. He taught me how to drive
Mm-hmm.
semis because I never knew how to drive trucks. So he taught me how to drive trucks. Then I started hauling corn for him and grain with a grain hopper
Mm-hmm.
to co-ops and elevators and stuff like that. And then I moved from that and went to um, a bottle. Started doing anhydrous and things like that. And then from there, I bought my own truck.
Okay.
So after driving for him for like a year and a half, I felt pretty confident that I had the experience and whatever. I bought my own truck, and that's where it began. So
Mm-hmm.
that took a life of its own, and started hauling hazardous products throughout the Midwest and the
Mm-hmm.
South. Uh, so I was leased out to a company out of Oklahoma, and then after that, uh, this came about. This was that nagging thing that kept coming back at me, and so we sold that logistics company that we had, and got into this. So that's my background. But I, I think my entrepreneurial spirit comes from my mother.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was like she did things that she was not supposed to do,
Yeah.
and she always figured out a way. She always, if she felt that she was going to go, I mean, she did everything. She constructed roads. Um, she imported secondhand clothes and did that. Uh, you know, I mean, she just figured out how to get things done. And so for me, that's always been my mindset. Like, it doesn't matter what your background is. If you want to learn something and figure it out, you get in there and figure it out. So even with this coffee, it took me a good couple of years before I really dived into it.
Mm-hmm.
Just understanding the market, understanding the origin, knowing who the players are, knowing what are the bottlenecks, what are the problems, how would I do it different, why an auction model, why not just do what other people are doing, so you take the time to figure it out, and you keep knocking doors and talking to people and asking questions and being turned down, and you show up again, and that's what led to this.
Mm-hmm.
So just one person to another. But I'm a man of faith. I pray a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have um, this being here, what you see here today. So there's people in this town that literally heard about what I wanted to do with coffee and the coffee farmers and everything. And they, out of their, I don't know, they just decided to be like, okay, what can we do to help to get you there?
Mm-hmm.
How can we be part of the process? Um, like this building, local developer called Rayo Corner came and redeveloped this whole space. This was an old Sears building.
Oh. Okay.
right? It had been empty for almost 40 years.
Mm.
Nobody here, nothing. So when we first visited, I mean, it was a mess. It was
Mm.
pools of water. There's a few frogs in here and stuff. But anyway, there
Mm.
was no electricity. There was nothing, right?
Mm.
And Rio Corner developed this whole building. You've seen our office upstairs and everything, and now the warehouse. And he redid this thing to our spec and never made a coin off of it
Mm.
at cost.
Mm.
So that's what I'm saying. People stepped up in ways that they didn't have to. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I look at this and know that this is bigger than me. This is more than me. This is something that's transforming lives and is going to continue transforming lives because it doesn't stop at coffee. I know there'll be other products after this from because those farmers, those producers, people in Africa, they're all having the same challenges about accessing the market without the exploitation, right? So I know this is the beginning of something that's just going to keep evolving as time goes by.
Mm. Okay.
My role, what I see as the vision carrier, what I see is my role is to set up a solid foundation and put systems and structures in place so that going forward,
Mhm.
whoever comes after me, there can be a plan of
Mhm.
where we're trying to head to and what is possible. I don't think we've really begun to even explore what is possible,
Mhm.
but I know that when you give people access and you let them be creative and you let them be involved with the process and value them, a lot of good things can happen.